welcome back to the channel. No, you've not accidentally clicked on my motorbike channel by mistake, although it is a very good channel. I'm off on a car launch this morning that's about 20 minutes from my front door, and the press car I've got in this week is a bit bleak, so I thought I'd take my own personal vehicle, the only vehicle I actually own, a Ducati Hypermotard 950 SP. Oh dear, which is a lot of fun. But sorry, you're not here to listen to me talk about motorbikes. I'm going to drive a new all-electric car from Japan, and I'm quite excited. So yeah, I shall see you there. Hint, there's a Toyota sign. No wheelies in the car park. There's a Mirai, look at that. There's a Supra. Excellent. There's another Supra. Where shall I dump my motorcycle? Excellent. It's a Lexus, if you couldn't tell. It's a blue Lexus. This is the Lexus UX300e, which is Lexus's first ever all-electric car. Fun fact, Lexuses have always been famous for doing hybrids and things. Lovely motorbike. It's my motorbike. But yes, now Lexus is doing the full electric car thing. First impressions are this top spec Takumi car, which is about 51 grand after the government grant. Feels lovely inside. The leather on the steering wheel is very nice. It's quite thick, but it's not a sports car, so that's all right. Didn't get very far before I had to do a conference call for work, because I'm a businessman. I'm not a businessman. The basics of the Lexus UX300e are quite simple. It's got a 204 horsepower electric motor with 300 newton meters of torque on the front axle. 0 to 62 is in 7.5 seconds, and it will go on to 100 miles an hour. So it's not a speed machine, but obviously it's not meant to be. It's an urban SUV crossover ting, and it's electric, obviously. You probably want to know the range, and it's 196 miles on a full charge. And Lexus, the engineers, have said something quite interesting about that. They could have given it a greater range, but that would have made it more expensive, heavier. That range is apparently okay, because in Europe you only drive 29 miles a day on average if you are a premium car buyer, so you can do a whole week's driving without having to recharge this, is the thinking. I'm being interrupted constantly by the Google Maps lady, and that's not really the car's fault. That just shows it's got Apple CarPlay.
Continue on Dorking Road for 2 miles.
It's got Apple CarPlay. So yay, I can just plug my phone in and everything is okay. Don't have to use the infotainment clicky Lexus thing, which lots of people don't seem to like. In terms of the interior, it all feels lovely. This is a top spec Takumi model, which means it's about 51 grand after options. You can get an entry level one for about 43. I'm saying about because there's UK government grant stuff that will give you 3 grand off. But yes, the interior is nice. The UX is Lexus's pretty much newest SUV. Came out in 2019, and that's kind of why they've made it the first electric one as well. I've got lots of lovely swathes of leather and stitching, and it's all done in that Lexus way that feels like the inside of a Japanese gentleman's smoking club. And it's very nice. It is very nice in here. I quite like that the infotainment controls are under your palm, so as you're relaxing on your way to your karaoke bar, you can adjust the volume using your middle finger on this. Everything that you touch is very nice, feels very nice. It's quite quiet in here. I'm only doing 40 miles an hour at the moment, or some kilometers now, because this is a left-hand drive car at some kilometers now, and I'm not being deaf, and there's very little road noise. Fun fact, Lexus actually specifically chosen the tyres and also the wheel arch linings to reduce the noise of water spray and gravel from the road. They've done that by analysing the noises you get in electric cars and choosing those items to reduce the noise. It's that kind of Lexus attention to detail thing. They're very good at it. I never quite get used to these the horns up here. So this is your driving mode selector. You've got Eco, Normal and Sport, and you have to twist your horn. Oi oi. So I'm just going to put it into normal mode, I think. Yes, normal is good. Lexus has made big claims about this being quite fun to drive. Like, not ludicrously fun to drive, but more fun to drive than you would imagine. I'm in sport mode. Everything's rolling around in the car. It handles really well. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's fun to drive, but you can certainly chuck it around and it corners quite flat, and it's got quite a lot of grip as well. Right, I'm coming up to a bit of 70 mile an hour dual carriageway joy. Let's see if my serenity continues. I'm now doing 70 miles an hour. I'm probably talking louder than I have to because it's nice and quiet in here. Barely any wind noise off the door mirrors. It's just a bit of road noise. This would be a very relaxing electric car to do big miles in, although 29 miles a day, remember, is the average that people actually drive. But yeah, definitely wins points for comfort and quietness and making me feel good about myself with the interior and everything else. And on the performance side of things, I know that 7.5 seconds to 62 miles an hour doesn't sound like a lot, nor does the 100 mile an hour top speed, but it's brisk enough. It's got that classic electric car wallop when you put your foot down. So if I slow down to 50 miles an hour, which is there, how quickly can I get to 70 again? There. It's reasonably quick. As I've said, this car isn't really about speed though. It's about just daily driving, fitting into your life, making the school run less painful than it would be otherwise. Okay, I'm about to go to my little lay-by of joy. I've not been there for a while. I'll give you a walk around and show you what it looks like and the boot and practical things that real world people care about. Right, here it is then, the Lexus UX300e. It looks like the Lexus UX, which came out in 2019, which looks like that. It looks quite good. You get Lexus's classic, hopefully you can see that, spindle grille, and it's actually got active flaps, so when the battery needs cooling they open up, and when it doesn't need cooling they shut to reduce drag. And Lexus has also given the battery a completely flat floor to make it more aerodynamic as well, and to get you more miles to your charge. This is a top spec one, so the wheels are 18 inches, the standard car comes on 17s, which have got kind of like gurney flap things built into the wheel to help cool the brakes and reduce turbulence down the side of the car. Clever Lexus people doing things to make it go further on a charge. At the back you've got this full width tail light as on the standard UX. It's on Belgian number plates. The eagle-eyed amongst you will have spotted that. Charging's in here, you plug it in. It hasn't got a CCS connector, but you can do 50 kilowatt charging through there. Someone hasn't put the flap back on it. Should we do that for them? There we go, we have reflapped the UX. The boot, get a little beep just to tell you that it's opening. Da-da-da-da-da. Weirdly, don't know if you can see, weirdly and quite rarely, boot space has increased by 47 litres. It's now 367 litres in the electric UX. So you get more for your money because it's electric. That never happens. Usually your little electric battery thieves rob your space. I don't know why it tells you it's electric there, because you need to know that when you're stuffing things in the boot. You got tyre goo and the usual stuff under there. A little washable mat, so if your pet Shih Tzu does a Shih Tzu in there, you can wash it out. Lexus says that the paintwork on their cars is sanded by hand for extra smoothness and shininess, and it's definitely smooth and shiny. Actually, I read something quite amusing. On Lexus's website, they've described the UX300e styling as brave. I think that's quite a brave thing to say on your website. It's certainly not your average looking car, is it? Do you like it? Let's have a look inside. Okay, the rear seats. Let's do the test. Can I get in and breathe down your neck? Oh, really? I don't know if you can see that, but this chair is in my driving position, which, I don't know, I actually sit quite close to the wheel considering I'm 6'3", but there's, I don't know, there's no space for your feet. under the seat in front. So I'm wearing big old motorbike boots, but yeah, I honestly can't get my feet under the seat there, so I'm kind of jammed in. That is not fantastic. Let's have a look. Let's move my stuff. So under the seats you get basically, yeah, it's solid. A solid bit with, like, you know, if you've got flip-flops and teeny tiny feet, you might be able to slip them under there, or feet that are shaped like a trowel, but I can't fit my my size 10s under there. Headroom, it's fine. I did that in a previous life, sitting in the back of cars going like this and this and this. I kind of got PTSD and I don't want to go back there. This is a top spec car, as I've mentioned before, which means you get a bigger screen there. I think it's 10.1 inches, it's got Apple CarPlay, it's got Android Auto. You control it using the wee touchpad down there, which does that Lexus thing of clicking with haptic feedback as you move over icons. It's got an analog clock, which I quite like. It's quite pretty. Steering wheel is quite chunky, wrapped in quite nice leather actually. And it's all quite nice in here. It's kind of got a few swooping details on the doors. The dash is covered in leather, which is very nice. And it's got wireless charging under there. It's got that Lexus quirkiness to it. It's got the horns up there to adjust the driving mode, and there's one there to turn traction control off. Don't know why you would, but yeah, it's not your usual average car interior, and I think that's what Lexus does very well, is this general sense of feeling a bit different, feeling a bit Japanese, feeling a little bit cool. And yeah, it's a lot roomier up front than it is in the back. Obviously. Okay, do you want to see the spec sheet? I bet you do. You perverts. One thing Lexus does do very well is kitting its cars out as standard. So obviously this is a top spec Takumi pack. So yes, this is £53,500, excluding the grant of about £3,000. So it's going to be a £50,000 car, and the only option this has is metallic paint. So yeah, with the Takumi pack you get, well, you get this whole list of stuff. It's got everything. Special note goes to the Mark Levinson sound system, which was banging my tunes out beautifully earlier. Recommend that. And it's got a head-up display. It's got the lot, basically. There we go. That was your facts. I know I don't often give you facts, but here we go. The leather seats in this top spec UX300e are very lovely. They've apparently been inspired by a Japanese technique called shishiko, which is something to do with quilting leather. I mean, they're leather with fancy stitching. They're very, very perforated, and the cooled seats, the 3-stage cooled seats in this car, are very, very effective. I get quite a warm back, and these are some of the coolest I've ever used. This is the infotainment controller I was talking about earlier, so you move a cursor around. Like Kingdom for auto exposure, there you go, you move that cursor around with your finger on there, and as you go over the menu items it bobbles up and down. Sorry about the water bottles, that's just what you get in a press car. This is quite cool because you can rest your hand on here while you're driving along and just adjust the volume of everything and select menus using these without moving your hand. Little cubby in there, that's where Apple CarPlay plugs in. Lexus infotainment systems got a bit of a reputation for being a bit fiddly. This isn't actually that bad, and you've got CarPlay anyway, so happy days. Physical buttons, yay! Like pretty much every electric car you buy these days, you can get an app. The Lexus Link app is Lexus's version, and it'll let you do the usual things like preheating the car in winter, so when you get in it's nice and warm. It'll also show you nearby chargers on Lexus's European charging network, and it's actually quite interesting because you can also set up remote charging. So say you only want to charge between midnight and 6 AM to get cheap electricity, you can tell it to do that through the app on your phone. Look, I haven't got the app, I've just got my notes. My notes! Quick conclusion then on the Lexus UX300e is it's a very nice feeling small electric crossover SUV thing. I'd probably get the kind of 46 grand one rather than this top spec one, which is over 50 grand. But it's very comfortable to drive, it's very quiet to drive, it's very relaxing to drive, it's brisk, it's not like rapid, quick. It's not going to be anywhere near as quick as something like a Tesla, but it feels nicer inside than a Tesla, and because it's a Lexus, it will hold its value better than pretty much any other electric car at this price point. So hooray, so as an actual sensible grown-up ownership thing, it's good. Obviously it's not perfect, no car is perfect. If it was perfect it would be boring. There's very little room for your feet in the back. I was kind of surprised, I couldn't sit back there without giving myself rickets or something. It's not as quick as you might expect it to be. You might not like the looks, but that's a personal thing. But actually on paper, there's not much to dislike about it as long as you can cope with that 200-mile range. You might want more range. So if you can deal with all those things, Lexus UX300e is a decent car. There we go. Fun facts. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification, and I'll be back soon somewhere a bit less chilly.